But we found there's a strong connection.
I would rather deal with organized crime than disorganized crime. Because in disorganized crime, everybody's out there doing whatever they wanted to do. In organized crime, only certain people can do it.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Corruption Connection. I'm your host, Tony Hernandez. Did I work with some scared cops? Yeah, I did. I worked with a lot of scared cops. Guys who were literally scared of their own shadow. Guys who, were in the academy, and when they got their orders, literally, of where they were going to go, literally put their hands in their head like this, like, oh my God, like nervous, like, oh my God, I'm going to go there. They were shitting their pants. They were like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I thought I was going to go here. They're just not made for that job. And that was in my time. So just imagine now, like you see a lot of these kids, they get assigned to a housing, which is the projects, and they've never set foot in the projects before. There's so many dangers that lurk around every single corner in those projects. I mean, death is there. It's a shooting, stabbings, murders, rapes, all that stuff happens very often and very frequently in the low-income housing projects. It's just a cast of characters. There's a lot of felons that live there, You're technically, I think you're not allowed to be a felon and live there. I'm not really sure of NYCHA's rules. But that being said, working with cops who are scared, cops who don't know how to approach criminals, they shake. I mean, they ask for somebody's ID, and don't get me wrong, your adrenaline is pumping. I've been in fights before where my hands are shaking before. It's a natural reaction, but if you're scared to ask someone for their ID, which is an initial approach, that's the initial contact I have with a subject, is asking them for their identification. If you're nervous doing that, forget about, the things that come down the line that you might have to do, putting hands on them, rolling around on the floor with them, fighting with them. In one particular situation, and I'll tell you about a scared supervisor I worked with. So we were on the F line, Parsons and Hillside. If you've ever ridden the F line, it goes from like 179, Parsons, Hillside. I can't remember off the top of my head, Union Turnpike. But throughout those lines from, let's say, Union Turnpike, or what's one past Union Turnpike? It's probably Woodhaven. From Union Turnpike to 179, in that little section on the F line, there was violent robberies happening every single day by groups of kids. 16, 17-year-olds, very young kids, and they were playing what was called the knockout game. I mean, this is not anything new. Mike Tyson used to play this. He admitted as a kid, he used to just knock people out in the street just for fun and rob them. Maybe not rob them, but just knock them out to see how hard he could hit. But in this instance, what these kids were doing was they were knocking people out and taking their cell phones. A lot of their victims were other high school kids. If you look at the area by Hillside and Parsons, there's like 3 or 4 high schools around there. You got Hillcrest, Jamaica. I mean, they all kind of congregate in that area. So these individuals, what they were doing, and it was usually always around the same time, by the times the kids got out of school to the times they went home. So we're talking maybe about 3 p.m. to 8 p.m., these individuals would strike. And their MO, their modus operandi, was to find someone by themselves, whether it be a woman, a man, a kid. Like I said, most of their targets were other youths, teens, like around 15, 16 years old. And what they would do was they would find these individuals by themselves. If they look like weak prey, they'd punch them in the face, take whatever they could, and just keep it moving. And it was always a cell phone. Sometimes it was jewelry, but it was always a cell phone. And I mean, they were hitting every day. They were hitting every day. We had clear pictures of these guys. There's about 3 or 4 of them. Up and down the lines there were. And if you've ever ridden the F train in the nighttime, it's not too packed in those stations. It's kind of, you just see the homeless. It's a huge hub for the homeless. But besides that, you're not seeing too many commuters. So the fact that they were so brazen to commit these acts around 3 to 8 p.m., it said a lot too about what they were capable of. These were criminals. They were young, but they had no problem committing violent acts within the subway system or outside the subway system. We caught them right at the top of the stairs on camera, punching somebody in the face and taking their cell phone. So when there's crime patterns like that, the crime team, the undercover units, we get assigned to a particular station throughout that time. Hey, we want physical presence there. We want you to blend in. We want you to ride on the trains. And this is where I kind of got into character. So like I said, there's a lot of homelessness that goes on in those stations. So when I knew that we were going to get assigned to those lines and we were going to be patrolling those lines, I knew I had to kind of look like a homeless guy, or at least dressed a little bummy. You know what I mean? So that being said, what I would do is I would wear like my disgusting, dirty, ripped jeans and old hoodie, have my facial hair, put my hood on. I'd get like a brown paper bag. I would eat something out of it. I'd be on the bench. I would actually be there with homeless people or whatever. I'd be on the bench with another homeless guy or whatever, and he would think I was homeless. I mean, he smelled the high hell. He's probably like, this is the cleanest smelling homeless guy I've ever seen. But, you know, I tried my best, you know? And I would blend in. I would blend in pretty good. The rest of the unit would laugh at me, you know? I'd be sitting there on the fucking bench, you know, laid down like this or whatever, you know, drinking something, smoking my vape, doing all this stuff, you know, kind of just looking real vagrant, you know? Like a guy who's just like, you know, down on his luck, or just a wino, just hanging out in a subway system. So we got assigned to those lines, to patrol those lines as this was going on. And I'm in my whole character, you know, and we're not catching them. You know, we're there, it's happening, we just can't get them. We can't pinpoint where they are. We might be at Hillside, they hit at Parsons. We might be at Parsons, they hit at Hillside. We're at 179, they're hitting at Union Turnpike. Just very elusive characters. So remember, this story is about a scared supervisor I was working with. So we decide that it's easier for us to catch them if we break off into pairs. I go with my supervisor, the other cops go by themselves. You know, everybody's in pairs of twos in order to kind of cover more ground. That's what we do. Go to the other side of the subway station and we kind of just covering more ground. So me and the sergeant are doing a train run from 179 to Parsons. We're going to go back and forth. We're going to maybe see what happens on the train, maybe, you know, leapfrog from train car to train car, kind of see if we can run into anybody. Okay. 179 is the end of the train, so it's technically the end, the beginning. We get on at 179. We're going to do a train run to Parsons or Union, I forget. It's about 3 or 4 stops that we're going to do this train run. The next stop after we get on and we're putting over this train run, you know, we're going to do this. The next stop, 3 individuals get on the train that fit the description. Now, what are we doing? We're 2. Remember, like I said, we're outnumbered. 3 of them get on. We're 2. The number's not in our favor. And I have said this in my interviews in the NYPD. We're taught not to fight fair. You're 1, we're 2. You're 3, we're 4. You're 5, we're 10. That's just the way it goes. In the NYPD, we're taught not to fight fair. If you're 1, we're 2. If you're 3, we're 4. If you're 5, we're 10. That's the way it goes. Biggest gang in New York City. You don't lose. Biggest gang in New York City. The numbers favor us. You got to utilize what you got, right? You're taught not to fight outnumbered. However, in this instance, I'm confident in myself. I think the sergeant is confident in himself. I believe he is. And I say, you know what? Let's grab these guys. These are them. Positive fit. I'm texting him. I said, these are them. This is literally them. Fit in the description. One guy had like 2 braids, 2 cornrow braids, Latino male. The other one was a black dude, 2 black guys, and 1 Spanish guy. And I said, this is them. They fit the description. Look, he's wearing the same thing. They got these colorful backpacks. And the sergeant was telling me no. He just kept telling me no. Stand by, wait for the other units. And I said, I kept telling him, why? Like, let's grab him. At the same time he says that, one of the guys, the Spanish guy, had a cast on, right? So you kind of know it's him. I said, look, he's even got the cast. He does this. There's nobody in the train, by the way. It's just us and them, like the odds of them getting on at the same time. He does this with his hand, and he's got a knife inside the cast, visible. You can see it. It's right here. It's like tucked in the cast. So like, I guess like when he pulls it out, if he does this, you know, he's got like something to just stip you, or even just like a little palm strike or whatever. He's got something to come at you. Or if he's getting searched by cops, maybe he thinks he could just hide it in there. I'm not really sure. Anyway, I'm telling the sergeant, we got him. He doesn't see the weapon. I saw it. And maybe he did. I'm not sure. But I saw that weapon. So I was like, all right, maybe we should call for a little backup, maybe this. But I said, you know what? I'm confident enough that if we just grab this guy, hands behind your back, boom, we got him. Sergeant told me no. And I surmised that as fear. Could have been smart, sure. But I think it was fear. And the reason I think it was fear was because when we had gotten to a particular station now where there was more people and some uniformed cops, he still told me to back off. Now, why do you think that is? Could have been politics. Maybe he knew something that I didn't. I never, obviously I'm not going to say his name, and I never told anyone what happened that day or whatever, you know. I didn't want people to change their opinion of him because he was a great boss. But I could just see the fear in him, whether it was the fear of the potential altercation that we were going to have or just the fear of something going wrong and him having to answer to their higher ups on why you did this, that, and the third. And that's a reality, okay? So when I say scared cops, a lot of them are scared for those reasons. The job ties your hands. And now he's maybe thinking in his head, if I go after these guys and something bad happens, the job is going to look for a way to put me as a scapegoat and say, hey, you shouldn't have went after those guys. You were outnumbered. We tell you not to fight outnumbered. You should have called for backup, et cetera, et cetera. Just in case things would have went bad, you know, that's probably what they would have said. And that makes you hesitant in the field. I mean, that's life or death situations now. So what did we do? We let known perpetrators of crimes walk right away from us. Why? Because of politics, red tape, you know, them literally handcuffing us, not letting us do our job the way that we're supposed to because of the potential consequences. And that just creates a lot of life and death situations. And you'll see that more and more now today of cops just saying, you know what? It's not worth my pension. It's not worth my life. I'm not getting a command discipline. I'm not getting my vacation days taken away. I'm just going to let them walk away. I'm going to let them go. You've seen it recently in the transit system. I don't know. It's going viral all over Instagram of a conductor who was groped and assaulted by a passenger. And the passenger says to the NYPD, oh, I know her. It's good. And they let him go.
Yo, you do not tell me that he fucking knows me. No, I'm not with it. No, I'm not with it. He does not know me. And I told you that in front of him. I said that to you. Ask him my fucking name. No, you should not have let him go. You should not have let him go. You should not have let him.
Now, were these cops thinking in their right mind? I don't know. I don't want to Monday morning quarterback this, but I got to do a little investigation before I let you go. I'm not just going to take your word for it. And the conductor is screaming, why would you let him go? I don't know him. He just, he forcibly touched me. This is wrong. How could you guys do this? So, you know, it's really a problem, you know? And these guys, the cops look like deer in headlights. Like they knew that they fucked up. They were just like, damn, like I didn't really think that it was going to get to this point. And that's just, it's ineffective leadership that leads to cops just running around with like chickens without head. They don't know where to go. They don't know what's right. They don't know what's wrong. They don't know what laws to follow. They don't know what procedures to follow. They don't know what's right. They don't know what's up, down. You know, it's just, it creates a really tumultuous environment for a cop because when you have to make split-second life decisions, you can't be thinking about political red tape or if I'm going to get in trouble or you're putting the public's life at risk. And what do you think we did by letting those guys walk away? We put the public's life at risk. They're known perpetrators, known for knocking people out and stealing their cell phones. We had them in our sights and he let them walk away. You know, but, you know, that's just the NYPD in general. You know, I've said this before and I say it again. It's a systematically corrupt organization. The corruption never goes away. It just morphs into one or the other. And when you it's like a balloon. When you contract it on one end, it expands on the other. That's crime. In one way or another, corruption will always be there. Politics will always be there. And it's a shame because you shouldn't politicize police work, you know? The priority of police work is to protect and serve, you know, the public. If you're not doing that, then what are you doing? So I think the NYPD needs to implement some better training in order to have some cops out there that can make these life-second decisions, these split-second decisions, you know, that can change people's lives and affect their lives. You know, they should be a little bit more qualified. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next one. As always, I'm your host, Tony Hernandez, and this is Corruption Connection.
What we found is a strong connection. One of deadly violence and organized crime.